Alright, guys, let's talk about the weekend. Not the greatest visitor list, but some solid guys. I mean, that definitely can help Florida. Some guys I'd like to have to address some needs. You got Bridges, secondary guy, want to play safety from Oregon. I like Florida there. Again, he was a backup at Oregon, lost his job. The year before had a solid season, so I think he'd be a nice rotational piece there at safety, build competition and depth. I do think he's better than R.J. Moten and some of the transfers we took last year at safety. So I like Florida there. You got Breon Taylor, JUCO, high 3-star. Georgia's after him. A lot of programs are after him. I think Florida lands this kid probably today, is what I heard. So you got him. You got Joey Slackman. Slackman I'm not as confident on. I think he's a 50-50 ball right now. He's going to take some more visits. Michigan's out there. I think if he goes to Michigan, that's where he ends up. He's not a Southern guy anyways. I think that'd be more up his alley, his environment. That'd be a big loss for Florida. It's at a position of need, and he's a stud, an absolute stud. I think Gregory Smith will go to Florida. We got our DB coach and Will Harris from the Chargers. I know a lot of people don't like the hire. He wasn't a position coach for the Chargers. He was like an assistant to the assistant coach or assistant DB coach, assistant or something like that. But anyways, I think it's a solid hire. He was amazing at Washington, had some really good defenses, really good secondary or DBs. So he's a good hire, solid candidate. I don't know when that's officially going to be announced or what's holding that up. It is a bad look, if you ask me, for Billy that it hasn't been announced yet, but everybody already knows he's the guy. It has been announced on Twitter. It hasn't been made official by Florida or anything yet, so he's not even signed or actually able to go to work for Florida. But he's talking to recruits and everything, so we're good there. Let's see. Grimsley. Grimsley was there this weekend. Jameer Grimsley, don't think he's not coming to Florida. He's going to stick with his commitment. So that's, one of them things. Florida's, had a decent weekend, had a lot of guys on campus. I didn't hear anything about the Wisconsin wide receiver for Mertz. I mean, I would assume Florida would land him, but I haven't heard nothing out of the weekend about him or anything at all. So we had the safety guy, defensive line. We had Taylor. We had Jules from Pitt, that transfer. I think Florida lands him. I really do. I think we get him on the defensive line again. Another good rotation guy, another solid depth piece. Probably not a starter, maybe. I mean, I don't know what we have on the roster right now. Losing McClellan, he might play significant snaps. And Pitt had a pretty good defensive line at times. I like their defensive line coach up there, so I think he'd be a solid guy. Again, everybody that I've talked to doesn't feel like he's starter level SEC material, but Florida is what Florida is right now. We got to take whoever we can get. We got to have a roster and got to have options at positions of need. He's a edge guy. Slackman can rotate, big tackle, big edge. I'm trying to think of the guy's name that used to play there that was really good. Anyway, but, somebody probably like Jabari Zuniga, something like that. So that's pretty much it for the visitors and who I think Florida will land and how the weekend went. They are on the road again this week, last week of the contact period. Being Monday, haven't heard anything that I'm really happy about as far as who they're visiting. They're going to go see 5-star Cam Coleman. He's already committed to Auburn. They're not flipping that kid. I don't know why we're wasting time going to see him. Somebody needs to get on their butt on a plane and go see Xavier Flemsley over in Flems Lane, whatever, out in Texas, because he's about as good as gone from what I've been told. Flipping to Texas, that's a 5-star of our class. I mean, if we lose him and another guy and we replace him with guys like a JUCO and a couple other guys, this class is not what everybody wanted it to be. It needs to finish top 10, period. Plain and simple. We need to keep everybody that's in the class, add some bodies, get inside the top 5. We get Breon Taylor and keep Flemsley and guys like that, and add a couple others, Gregory Smith. This class is top 5, which is the best class since Urban Meyer. So it will be a significant class that will contribute early and really make an impact. If Billy can somehow get some of these elite guys in the class to play early, and get a couple decent transfers. I know we're we're not good in the portal, period. We don't have the money, apparently. I can tell. You can see that we don't. I mean, we can't even get guys that are big-time players like the A&M tackle. I mean, all these guys are transferring and going to other schools in the SEC, like Missouri, A&M. These schools just have, I don't know what it is they do have. They have something, though. They're better at getting guys in the portal. They got more to offer monetarily or something. And I do think Florida's gotten better than they were to start out with. But we just don't have the boosters or alumni. It's crazy because we have one of the biggest in college football. We have one of the biggest in college football, but they're not committed to football. They're academic-type alumni. Our boosters just don't care about football like we would like them to. I think that's something Florida and Strickland need to work on, and the Florida Victorious, is getting money, especially look at all the professional athletes that come from Florida. I mean, dude, even just a one-time contribution could go a long way. I mean, let's turn this thing around in year 2. I mean, it could be done right now with just a one. Worry about next year. We're not looking for, your money in the future. We're looking for it now. We'll let the chips fall where they may, because if we win, it'll take care of itself. If Florida can win 8 games or more, kids will see that we're building something, and it's turning around, and they will come here. Anyway, everybody probably knows this also by now, but Simpson, the defensive line coach from Duke, is probably our defensive line coach. He was a backup option. He was not our first pick. Elijah Rushing from, I think that's his name, from Texas A&M. That was our first pick. He moved on to Georgia, and A&M took our defensive line coach, Sean Spencer, who actually I think should not have been fired. I think the defensive line started the year pretty well. Probably was actually one of the brighter spots on our defense. I know they got pushed around a lot, and that was more strength and conditioning and diet. They were fat. I mean, the same defensive line was better the last few years, or had bright spots and moved faster and had more sacks, under Sean Spencer. I don't think it was his fault. I think he took the fall for something that had nothing to do with him. Corey Raymond absolutely should have been fired. The secondary was complete trash. I mean, when's the last time you seen a DB jump and get an interception or turn their head around and make a play on the ball? Our DBs run with their back to the quarterback the entire time. It's just terrible skill and technique. I don't know. Raymond's just washed up. I don't know who teaches these kids that, or if our kids just don't have high football IQs. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. But, yeah, Simpson, I think, is still a solid hire. I think he'll do well. He had a good defensive line at Duke. I wonder how he'll do recruiting. Definitely not the splashy hire, but, again, solid 2 guys. So I think those positions are pretty much filled now. This took way too long. It's a bad look for Florida, bad look for Billy. You didn't get who you wanted again. No splashy names, stuff like that. Will Harris, I think, is a good hire. I think neither one of them are bad, but the biggest problem is, I think Florida's done after this. I don't think you're going to see a special teams guy. If you do, that'd be great. I don't think we're going to get an offensive coordinator. I really don't. I don't see it happening. If he was going to do that, I think it'd have been done by now. I don't know. Maybe you'll see something within the program, like Callaway or something, get promoted, calling plays, but it's going to be Billy's way or the highway with the play calling and stuff and scheme and all that. So he's going to have to work with what Billy gives him. So, Florida got a lot of opportunities because teams were scoring so many points on us. We still lost the games, so we're not a shootout offense, and a lot of people, I think the offense was very deceiving this year. You could tell it was very dysfunctional, no rhythm, bad play calls at the wrong time, momentum-killing drives, just disjointed. Like, yeah, sure, it was okay. It could be effective at times, but he has no rhythm as a play caller. He's not like a Dan Mullen calling plays back there. You can just see the difference from his offense to Mullen's offense. It's just night and day, guys. So I don't think with him making the decision to not change special teams or the OC, now we'll wait and see. If he doesn't have it done by the end of December, it's not happening. I mean, we'll let him get through early signing day and all that, get his pieces signed. I mean, that's a big reason not to do anything right now, because you sign the class with what you've been doing. So I would say keep it the way it is and get the guys signed and then make the changes. But if it doesn't happen by the end of December, it's not happening. And I just think that without those changes, even with the defensive hires and the defense getting better, I don't think Billy's around after year 3. I think he's gone next year. Things do not look good right now at all, even with the recruiting class. Still hanging on just barely. I mean, Amarius is at Auburn this week. Look for him to maybe flip too. So a lot of the ship is sinking. Hopefully we keep these guys in the fold. I think they're just trying to keep their options open to see what happens. Getting these guys higher will go a long way for that with these other guys, these prospects. So we'll just see what happens. I think the offense coming back, the pieces we have with Gene, Mazzell, I like some of our high school wide receiver guys, Isaiah Williams, Tasaki Abrams. I mean, I think we got some guys there with what we already have, including getting a couple veterans out of the portal. I think the offense could be pretty decent and functional, especially with Mertz at quarterback. He's got to work on his deep ball and work on that part of his game, get the ball down the field. But he's limited too because of Billy's offense, for one, and the offensive line can't block. All right, guys, that's all I got today. Go Gators.